socialists!
Clear, huh? So how do we decide who's right? Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won. In districts, Trump also won. All moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century, or any century.
Bill Maher appears to be the lone voice refusing to drink the Manny Kool-Aid, relentlessly challenging his hard-left agenda. Manny just secured the New York mayoral seat and is preparing to roll out a bold set of campaign initiatives. But Maher warns that these moves could spell trouble for the Democratic Party, and he's raising the alarm loud and clear. Hold on tight, things are about to get fiery.
Zohran Mamdani is the future of the party. Unfortunately, it's the Republican Party. Get it? And if you missed his victory speech in last week's mayoral election in New York, don't worry, you'll see it in every attack ad for the next 2 years. Now, Mamdani seems like a nice guy, and I congratulate him on an extraordinary political achievement. But before the whole left side of the country catches socialism fever, let's listen to the other big winner in last Tuesday's election, Virginia Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger, who, before the 24 election, said things like, if the party didn't shift to the center, we will get fucking torn apart. And we need to never use the word socialist.
Maher began by warning that electing Mamdani as New York's mayor could be the tipping point that hands the 2028 presidential race to the Republicans. In his view, Mamdani isn't just left-leaning, he's a full-blown socialist, championing ideas like free grocery stores, defunding the police, free public transit, and an extensive roster of government-funded programs. Maher argued that while these policies might excite the hyper-progressive wing of the Democratic base, they are wildly out of step with the rest of America. Most millennials, older voters, and moderates remain skeptical, if not outright wary, of anything labeled socialism. For Maher, tying the Democratic Party to Mamdani's agenda is political self-sabotage. Rather than energizing voters, it risks alienating the very groups Democrats need to win. In the long run, he believes this path could backfire spectacularly.
Right, but they didn't listen. Typical, am I right, lady? Well, at least the party has a clear choice here, very clear. One wing is saying don't ever use the word socialist again, and one is saying,
I am a democratic socialist!
Clear, huh?
Zohran's aggressive push for socialist policies has clearly energized the party's young Gen Z faction, who hail him as a political messiah. To them, his ideas are bold, fresh, and revolutionary. But older Democrats aren't having it. Socialism, in their eyes, is political poison that has already cost the party dearly. Suddenly, the Democratic Party is split down the middle, one camp demanding a fully socialist agenda, the other struggling to pull the party back toward the center. Two loud factions, two opposing visions, and one party teetering on the edge of collapse. The real question, how do they move forward without imploding? Maher delivers a blunt reality check, urging Democrats to chart a path that doesn't alienate half the country. For him, survival requires strategy, not fantasy.
We decide who's right. Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won. In districts, Trump also won. All moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong, moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office. Gosh, if only someone had been saying that all along.
According to Maher, the Democratic Party's only real path to survival is to abandon the fringe leftist fantasies that have taken over and steer back toward the political center. He argues that Democrats have wasted too much time chasing ideas that thrill Twitter activists but alienate the very voters they need to win national elections. Rather than obsessing over ideological experiments and symbolic battles, Maher insists the party must focus on the issues that actually keep everyday Americans awake at night: rising costs, safety, education, healthcare, and economic stability. These are the concerns that resonate with workers, seniors, parents, and moderates across the country. In Maher's view, the problem isn't a lack of solutions, it's that Democrats have let themselves be distracted by noisy, unnecessary policies that ignore real-world priorities. The sooner they abandon that detour, he warns, the better their chances of political survival.
Problem is, Gen Z thinks socialism's wired and capitalism's tired and billionaires are what's for dinner. And who can blame them? If you're 30 and still sharing a bathroom with roommates, capitalism isn't working for you. People will reject any economic system where there's strange hair on the soap.
I don't blame Gen Z, they've often been given a skewed view of the world by older voices. Instead of providing a balanced understanding of history and geopolitics, many have been exposed to distorted narratives that shape their perspectives. As a result, some Gen Zers hold highly polarized views on the Israel-Palestine conflict, guided more by simplified stories than by the complexities on the ground. They've been presented with revisions of American history that portray figures like Lincoln and George Washington as irredeemable rather than as complex leaders who shaped the nation. Some even believe that Palestine offers a freer, more just society than the United States, an idea that quickly unravels when confronted with reality. So am I surprised they're embracing socialism with such enthusiasm? Not at all. When the truth is blurred and history distorted, unrealistic ideologies can take root easily.
Reaching middle age and still writing their name on food before they put it in the fridge. So they're quiet quitting capitalism and texting socialism that they're down to fuck. Thing is, socialism will fuck you. Because socialism, to put it simply, just doesn't work and has never worked, like Kevin Federline.
Socialism has often struggled in practice wherever it's been tried, and critics warn that New York could face similar challenges. You don't need to be a political scientist or economist to see the cracks forming before the experiment has even begun. The promises are grand, the slogans loud, but reality rarely matches the rhetoric. Already, Mamdani is scrambling to distance New York from federal funding, attempting to create a financial bubble he can control, so he won't have to answer to Washington, especially not to Donald Trump. Critics argue this strategy exposes a major weakness. If the system falters the moment federal support disappears, sustainability becomes a serious concern. Instead of building a stronger, more stable city, Mamdani seems intent on proving a point, even if it drags New York into political and economic turmoil.
Happened before their appearance on the planet didn't really happen, but it did. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century or any century.
Critics worry this is exactly what could happen if Mamdani continues down this path. Instead of becoming a model for progressive innovation, New York risks turning into a cautionary tale, another example of why socialist-style policies often struggle in practice. If Mamdani insists on pushing initiatives that drain resources, undermine public safety, and stretch the city's finances to the breaking point, New York could soon top every list of what not to do. The political chaos wouldn't stop there. Tension between Mamdani and the governor is already brewing, each vying for control and claiming the moral high ground. That power struggle alone could plunge the state into instability, creating gridlock, confusion, and constant clashes over whose vision should prevail. At this rate, New York risks becoming the prime example of socialism's destructive consequences.
This country is founded on, one is democracy, and one is capitalism, free markets. And it seems like one party wants to get rid of one, and the other party wants to get rid of the other, right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these, 74% are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't?
I don't agree with Bill Maher or the Republicans on everything, especially their constant doomsday talk about democracy, but on one point, Maher is spot on. The DNC is drifting further into full-blown socialism. And this isn't the first time he's sounded the alarm. Remember when he warned that Democrats would lose last year's elections if they didn't abandon endless woke posturing? He practically begged them to focus on real issues instead of social media theatrics. They ignored him, and his prediction came true. The DNC didn't just lose, they lost badly. Now Maher is issuing another warning, this time about Mamdani and the party's growing obsession with fringe leftist ideology. And once again, it seems no one in Democratic leadership is listening. They appear determined to repeat the same mistakes, even if it drags the entire party over the cliff.
The woman, when Trump won the first time, she was like, no! No, it was like an iconic, she was with her glasses.
Vaguely,
if Mamdani wins, I'm gonna remake that video in New York.
Oh, that's funny.
Because that's how I'll feel.
What will you say if he gets into office and says, look, the Palestinian thing is being settled. I'm now the mayor of New York. I don't want to talk about that anymore. So if you ask me any questions about Palestine, I'm the mayor of New York. I have feelings about it. I have opinions.
Great.
I highly doubt Mamdani will backtrack on any of the policies he championed during his campaign. His entire political identity is built on those promises, and now he's locked into delivering them, no matter how unrealistic, impractical, or impossible they may be. Rolling them back would be politically devastating. He knows that if voters start to suspect he was merely making feel-good pledges to win applause, his career is over. His brand depends on proving that his radical proposals aren't just rhetoric, but can actually work in the real world. So instead of adjusting to reality, he's likely to push forward even harder, hoping sheer determination will hide the flaws in his plans. But that gamble could backfire. If voters eventually realize they've bought into empty promises, Mamdani won't just take a hit, he'll be finished.
Commercial for the Republican Party
I think
nationally.
the Republicans are going to.
When you let the Democrats, socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. The state-run grocery stores, which work so well in Cuba and the Soviet Union and Venezuela.
The Democrats are standing at a crossroads, and the choices they make now could shape their future for years. With Mamdani pushing radical socialist policies, courting Gen Z, and doubling down on his most controversial positions, the party risks internal chaos and relentless attacks from opponents. Bill Maher's warnings aren't just commentary, they're a clear-eyed assessment of a party on the brink of losing touch with the very voters it needs to survive. From policy overreach to ideological obsession, the signs are everywhere: divisions between young radicals and older moderates, lofty promises that may never be achievable, and strategic missteps opponents will weaponize mercilessly. Democrats can either recalibrate, focus on issues that resonate with everyday Americans, and find a path back to the center, or double down on fantasy politics and watch their influence erode. At this pace, the consequences could be catastrophic. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.